Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Oh, not another Hydroflask. We just did one of these a couple weeks ago. I know. But I gave it to my brother, the one that I already did, which was on a white Hydroflask. And he happened to have a friend over who really, really liked it and wanted me to do a Jack and Sally version for her. So I picked up this dark colored Hydroflask. They were sold out of the white ones, and I figured being Nightmare Before Christmas, we could get away with a dark background. So I want to see if the acrylic paint and everything, Posca pens, cover as well on a dark Hydroflask. So this is sort of an experiment, but also it's a commission. So, and this one's not dinged, as you can see. I didn't drop it. I haven't been that clumsy yet. However, I posted a picture of it on Instagram, I think 2 days ago, so I haven't had this one for very long. There's still plenty of time for me to ding the crap out of it. But yeah, anyway, so we are doing a Nightmare Before Christmas themed Hydroflask, which I'm sure you already know if you read the title of this video, but you know. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. The first things first, we are gonna take off all this stuff, put on 2 coats of clear gesso, and tape the lip with vinyl tape, which I did last time. I don't think I mentioned it ever in the video, but I did tape the stainless steel rim with vinyl tape, so I didn't paint on it. But yeah, so let's get stuck into it.
Okay, once I taped off the stainless steel lip with vinyl tape, I added 2 coats of clear gesso with a large paintbrush and allowed it to thoroughly dry. After that was done, I decided to try using a watercolor pencil to sketch out my design on the Hydroflask, since I didn't think there was any way a normal pencil was going to show up on such a dark surface. I figured if it works to draw faces on vinyl dolls, then hopefully it would make enough of a mark on the rough surface of the Hydroflask. Thankfully, my white Derwent Inktense pencil worked like a charm. As you can see, it showed up very nicely. And, as you probably can also see, if you've been around my channel for quite some time, this image might look a tad bit familiar. I posted a Speedpaint literally 4 years ago, in 2016, of me coloring a heart-shaped wood block with colored pencils. And it was this image of Jack and Sally. I travel around to anime conventions, and this one is a super popular image. I've probably made 10 wood blocks of varying sizes of hearts with this image of Jack and Sally on it. So it's sort of my go-to whenever these two are requested. So yeah, suffice to say that I know this image like the back of my hand. I've drawn it so many times, so it was an obvious choice for me to do. However, I've never painted it before. I've only ever used colored pencil, as that is my tool of choice when working on wood, so this Hydroflask was a new experience. Also, Jack and Sally only took up one side of the space I had to work on, so I had to figure out what to put on the other side as well. That wasn't too hard though. I mean, how can you have Nightmare Before Christmas without Oogie Boogie? Answer, as long as there's room in the image for him, you can't. And I've seen him drawn as the Curly Hill several times, which I always think is a very clever way to work him in, so that's what I've done here. I even added Lock, Shock, and Barrel in the bathtub chasing after Zero, and I circled the logo with the moon as if it were glowing. I thought it would be a cool use of him, you know, since that makes him the man in the moon. I swear I'm cool, please don't leave. Once the sketch was roughed in enough that I felt like I knew what I was doing, I busted out my Mama acrylic paints again. I've been getting a lot of use out of these. It's pretty nice paint. Definitely a step up from most cheap craft store acrylic paints, but not as expensive as really high quality acrylics. It's a nice happy medium. But I used up the rest of my white on this project, so I'll have to get a new tube. Maybe I'll start slowly replacing the colors one by one with better grade acrylic paint as I use these tubes up. I don't know. Anyway, like I said before, the watercolor pencil works spectacularly for marking up the Hydroflask. However, it definitely did not erase if I decided I wanted to change my sketch at all. So just be forewarned, much like the shoes I painted for my mom's birthday, once the sketch is down, the only way to get rid of it is to paint over it with the background color. Which I didn't have an exact match of the background color of this flask in my set of paint, and I didn't want to try and mix it up because I knew it would be a pain, so I just tried to overpaint the sketch where possible, either with the art or with the background you'll see me fill in later. I left the fine details until the end. I posted a sneak preview of this flask on my Instagram, and you could see that I hadn't done any of the detail or background yet. It was still very early in the process. I unfortunately didn't get any footage of me sketching Oogie Boogie Zero or Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and for some reason I forgot to hit record when I painted in Oogie's silhouette, because I guess I forgot how to camera, but here I am painting his eyes and mouth with a subtle white to beige to goldish color gradient to make it look like his features are sort of glowing from within. I thought it looked much more interesting than just the flat colors. And I thought it turned out so well, I did the same technique to the edge of the moon, and then later I came back with the dark gold color on the very edge of the moon to texture the middle with a large paintbrush. However, in the meantime, I came back with watered down light blue paint and tried to make it look like the sky around the moon was glowing. I also added highlights to the top and side of the Oogie Boogie hill to try and sell the illusion a little bit better that that side of it was getting some light. And I decided I really liked the texture I was getting with my brush. It was just a large round brush that I dipped in acrylic paint and then brushed off a lot of it for a dry brush effect, and then I just lightly tapped it to produce that sort of speckled looking pattern on the flask. I added that texture in a sort of gradient around the moon to really reinforce that glowing effect, and then, in the open space of the sky, I painted the background a mixture of black, purple, and navy blue, and I used that same sort of tapping technique to add white and magenta clouds in the sky as well, just to add some more interest to that big empty space. After that was done, I watered down some white paint and used a very stiff angled brush to fling stars around the sky with my thumb, and I chose a few here and there once they were dry to turn into larger starbursts, the same way I did in my Galaxy Girl alcohol ink speed paint. If you'd like to see that in action, I will link to it, but it's just white paint or ink with a paintbrush or gel pen, sort of flicking out from a central point to make the star shape, that's all. Once all that was dry, it was time for the final detail, which I once again added with my Posca pens, just like in the original Hydroflask video I did. However, this time, besides the 1M black and white Poscas, I also used my 3M Posca markers to add details. Last time I did one of these, I didn't have them, but they were definitely quite useful here as far as adding fine details, like the patterns on Sally's dress, and evening up the border around the little logo in the moon, which would have been very finicky to do with a paintbrush. And once the details were all finished, the custom Hydroflask was done. Once again, these final images were taken before I put on several coats of gloss varnish, because it's easier to take pictures since there is much less glare. But yeah, so what do you think? I really like how this one turned out. I didn't really get the hype of painting on these Hydroflask things, but now that I've done a couple, it really is fun. The uneven surface near the top is interesting to paint, and there really is a lot of space to work on, and it's fun to try and figure out how to incorporate the little logo in if you can. I don't usually do commissions because they really stress me out sometimes, especially if I get behind or if I have several to do. I've been known to have full-blown anxiety attacks over them before. But this one turned out okay, and I mostly did it because it was for a friend of my brother's. But anyway, do you like seeing me paint these custom Hydroflasks? I guess I could do a few more if you'd be interested in watching them. But if you don't want to see them, that's okay too, just let me know. and I'll just post finished images on Instagram and things like that, instead of making videos about them. But hey, if you like speed paints, I do have a bunch more on my channel that you can check out. And there will be plenty more in the future, I'm sure. I do post 3 videos per week, so please subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when something new comes along. And until my next video, I'll see y'all later. Bye!